Hello everybody, welcome to the table. Today we're taking a look at a variant of the Boker Kalashnikov. So this one right here, we can check out the model number. This is the Kalashnikov push button flipper stonewashed from Blade HQ. So with the BHQ on there, I'm going to assume this might be an exclusive knife to Blade HQ. But the Boker Kalashnikov series, of course, is well known for being automatic knives, and they're all, of course, push button side opening automatics. This one being the exception, though, you can see there is a flipper tab on there. So we have a manual flipper action with a button lock mechanism. So I think it's about time they've done this. And again, I don't even know if this is a new model or not, but it's definitely new to me. So we get the same exact handle body and blade shapes as the automatic versions, but this is going to be more legal for states that do not allow automatic opening knives. So the action is quite nice. It does run on bearings. So we can see that flipper action without any wrist. Still comes out pretty easily. So action feels good. Very fidgetable, very fidget-friendly design. Of course, aluminum handles with the grooves for your fingers, like the original models, fits in my hand very nicely. This variant of the knife comes with a Dagger grind blade, so we can see that right there. And of course it's not double-edged, but we do have a very thin edge up here on the top, and a nice grind here on the sharpened edge. Looks like a fairly even grind job. This particular one you can kind of tell, but this is a black stone-washed finish, which looks pretty nice. I do believe they also have it in just a black coated version as well. It's going to be a D2 steel blade. And for the price point, I'm not too disappointed in that at all. You know, pretty much expected, as well as just a serial number right there. And Boker likes to do that on a lot of their knives. They'll serialize their runs. But again, action is pretty darn nice. And what's kind of special about this particular knife, again, I bought this from Blade HQ, and this one is on sale for $35, so 35 bucks, which is kind of interesting because this exact same knife, the push button flipper, in the drop point design, not the Dagger blade design, the drop point version is $60 on sale, so to speak. So the Dagger version is definitely going to be a cheaper design, and I don't know exactly what the differences are other than the blade grind. You know, because this feels really good in hand. I'm not really seeing any weaknesses with the design. There might be an issue, say, if you really do bear down on your blades, the thinness of the spine here, you're not going to want to push your thumb really too deep into the back of this dagger-shaped blade. But if you're just holding onto the handle, normal cutting tasks, I can't see that being an issue. Other than that, I think a dagger-shaped blade is perfectly serviceable, perfectly, utilitarian in design. This particular model, at least this one I have now, does have a slightly different pocket clip than original. So this right here is actually an aftermarket pocket clip. So I figured I was buying the knife for sale, so I purchased. This is a pocket clip from Flytanium. So this is titanium with a stone-washed finish. So I just decided to pick this one up. It's compatible with all of the Kalashnikov model knives. And so I installed this one pretty much straight out of the box. You can kind of see the tip does flare up a little bit compared to the original, which I can show you right here. Here's the original pocket clip. And so side by side, you can kind of see the difference in the flare right there. So that might be an issue long term, but the titanium flexes really easily, and it carries nice and smooth in the pocket. So there's plenty of clearance for you in there. And I just kind of like the idea of putting the aftermarket clip, and that's really the only place where I had some issues with this knife, because in trying to switch out the pocket clip, unfortunately, the screw here that holds it in completely stripped out, which was super disappointing because none of the other screws on the knife had any issue being removed except for the pocket clip screw. Totally stripped out. I mean, I actually have it right here. I don't know if the camera will focus on this, but rest in peace, little screw. This one little screw was almost preventing me from taking the knife apart, but I was able to figure it out, disassembled the knife, and I really do dislike taking apart button locks. They're kind of fidgety, hard to get back together, but I was able to figure it out. I have a spare screw, so I was able to replace it, and we are back in business with this new titanium aftermarket pocket clip. So quality control issue, maybe, but the rest of the knife actually came apart and back together, you know, in not too bad a fashion, you know, despite the fact that it is a button lock, and I'm not a fan of disassembling button lock designs. But being a button lock, again, action is very fidgetable. And we can do some quick size comparisons because I do have some other Boker Kalashnikov knives. And probably the biggest difference is going to be with this one right here. So this is the Boker Sub Kalashnikov. So this one is an auto. And you can see it's one of these lovely little California legal stubby guys. So very short sub 2-inch blade. Just put those side by side. And you can get an idea of the difference in pocket clip designs because a lot of the original Kalashnikovs have a pocket clip that's a lot wavier and curvier. So plenty of room in here to get this in your pocket, but it looks kind of odd, you know, compared to something that's more straightforward and flat. So original pocket clip, aftermarket pocket clip right here. But beyond that, of course, you can just see the size difference there. But I do have another more traditional Kalashnikov right here in this gorgeous blue. This one's a hawkbill design and also an auto. So we can just see the size comparison here. Again, identical handles. I don't think the handles would be completely swappable due to the differences in the button lock versus the automatic button there. You can see there's a physical difference in location. So I don't think the handles would be swappable, if you're thinking that. But again, here is an example of a standard Boker pocket clip that they now use. So not quite as squiggly as the one down here, but hold them side by side. Check it out. So titanium aftermarket and stock Boker pocket clip. And honestly, these new pocket clips they use here are nothing really wrong with them. They look nice. They're not as exotic as the one down here. So you don't really have a huge reason to swap them out for these Flytanium aftermarkets unless you're just, you know, into that sort of torture like I am. But again, just my experience here. So I still have the original clip. I could install it back on now at this point, not a big deal, but I do like this look. And as long as this thing doesn't bend awkwardly or anything like that, I think we'll be in business. The steel clips tend to have a lot more tension to them. You can see I can barely lift this steel clip up. Whereas titanium, you know, is more easy to be malleable. And that means it may be more likely to bend on you. But that's just a caveat that comes with titanium as a material. And so looking for at least one more comparison, we have yet another Kalashnikov on the table. This is the box cutter variant. Again, another automatic, another standard looking pocket clip. So let's just put that on the table as well, and we can just see our size comparisons here. But how does this flipper knife add up in terms of size and weight? So let's check that out. So let's put these aside for right now. And let's get out the scale. So right here, let's turn that on. It doesn't feel like a very heavyweight knife. The whole line, I mean, aluminum handles, they're not that heavy. So right here, 3.48 ounces. So that's pretty respectable weight for the size of knife that we're getting here. So let's check out the size of the knife, the overall length, and the blade length. And now I've already looked it up, so I'm pretty confident. If you look right here, so our blade length is coming in, that's about 3 3/8. And overall length about 7 3/4 inches long. So very respectable, everyday carry sized knife that we have here. And I'm really liking the action. And straight out of the box, the first impressions on this knife were very, very good. You can check out the centering right there, which is nice. And this is after disassembling and reassembling the knife. So everything just stayed the way it was designed to. Again, my only downside for this particular model is that the pocket clip screw was stripped out and I could not remove it without great effort. So if you don't have small drill bits in a drill, you may not want to do that. But again, straight out of the box, perfectly usable, perfectly serviceable, and really, I think, a gorgeous design. If you prefer drop point, it's going to cost you a little bit more, but I think this dagger-shaped blade certainly has its merits. I think it just looks good. So tell me, guys, what do you think about this Boker Kalashnikov, this non-auto version of it? I think flipper button locks are kind of the new fad of the time, and I think for good reason. They're really fun to play around with and to carry. So hope you all have a nice day. Drop any comments below, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.